Hello everyone, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I first want to say thank you for clicking on this video, and also thank you for 1,000 subscribers. It's really fulfilling to achieve this goal, and I cannot stress enough how happy and overjoyed I am. This was only possible because 1,000 of you decided that my ugly voice on a cheap mic was worth the press of the subscribe button, but thank you so much for watching my videos. That is all I had to say, so without further delay, let's begin. Bleach is a series that revolves around Shinigami or death gods with supernatural swords. These swords are called Zampato and they vary from one another in terms of abilities and powers. Some Zampato have the ability to manipulate ice, others fire, others can cast illusions and even control gravity. It really wouldn't be an exaggeration to say we have a wide variety of magical swords in Bleach than there are magical spells in the entire Harry Potter series. Most of us are aware that the Zampato have levels of powers which are known as releases. The two known releases are called the Shikai and Bankai. A Shikai is the first release of a sword, which is like waking up the sword or switching it on. After the Shikai is released, the Zampato is able to use its abilities to a limited extent, not its full power. To unleash the full power of a Zampato, a second release is needed. This release is what is known as a Bankai, and depending on the enemy, a Bankai is capable of ending a fight. While a Bankai is active, the user of the Zampato can use the sword to its maximum full potential at the moment. It is said that a Bankai multiplies the power of its user up to 10 times. While that's impressive, it's also been stated that a Bankai can take a lot of years to completely master. However, from what we've seen in Bleach, that statement only depends on the type of Bankai itself. There are Bankais like Yamamoto's Zanka no Tachi whose flames are hotter than the sun, and even while suppressing himself, Yamamoto said he was going to destroy Soul Society by just keeping his Bankai released. That type of a Bankai is obviously hard to master or even train with, because every time you use it, you're risking the fate of the world. And then there's a Bankai like Ichigo's where it only took him 3 days to unlock and a few months to completely master. For the most part of Bleach, Bankais were pretty straightforward. Most characters will just go into Bankai, beat shit up, then call it a day. Almost every Bankai was for hitting, cutting, or stabbing. But things changed a little bit with the introduction of Unohana's Bankai, which nobody knows what it even does. And if somebody claims he or she knows what it does, they're lying. And then there's Ichibe's Bankai, which deserves a video of its own. Point is that most Bankai relied on physical force in one way or another. But there is a Bankai that is very powerful and very weird to say the least.
ほんならそろそろ奇跡の時間や。ひっくり返したるわ。Bankai Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari.
Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari is the Bankai of none other than the former leader of the Vizards and the current captain of the 5th Division, Shinji Hirako. But before we get into his Bankai, let us explore Shinjis Zampato a little bit. Sakanare is the name of Shinjis Zampato. When sealed, Sakanare is a fairly normal looking katana, but things get interesting when Shinji releases its Shikai. The release command of Sakanare is Collapse. With the release of its Shikai, the blade changes in appearance. The knob at the end of Sakanare's handle becomes a large ring that allows Sakanare to rotate around Shinji's hand without him actually gripping any part of the Zampato. This movement relates to Sakanare's special ability. The first few inches of the blade are covered by an extension of the crossguard. Sakanare's blade is straight and slim, with the tip ending in a slanted razor-like edge instead of being tapered to a point. There are 5 holes along the sword's length. Now here's the interesting part. Sakanare's Shikai ability is inverting the opponent's sense of direction, however that's not all. It is not just the sense of direction that is changed. The opponent's eyesight, direction of incoming attacks, and injury locations are also inverted. To explain this further, when Sakanare's Shikai is active, if Shinji cuts your left arm, the cut will appear on your right arm. Also, from your point of view, it may seem like Shinji is attacking you from the left, but is actually attacking you from the right. Now that you know this, you may try to counter Sakanare by anticipating the attacks from your opposite direction, but that is hard. Shinji claims that countering the damage from the inverted direction by simply processing it all within the mind is not possible. No matter how powerful the opponent is, especially if one is accustomed to fighting, their body will not be able to adapt due to their reflexes preventing proper reaction, which causes them to continually succumb to the power's effect. The effects of the inverted world can be targeted at or neglected from specific opponents, making it ideal for use in a group fighting. It also severely affects the equilibrium of those its power is used on, giving them vertigo, causing confusion, disorientation, and nausea. Shinji has further trained in its use to allow it to invert the words that he says as well. Now that we know Shinji's Shikai ability, let's jump into his Bankai without wasting time. Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari is a simple Bankai to say the least. What it does is a straightforward, but to activate his Bankai, Shinji needs two certain conditions to be met. And those conditions may be simple or hard depending on the circumstances. To activate his Bankai, number 1, there must be no ally or friend near Shinji. And number 2, there needs to be more than one enemy. Why? It's because Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari's ability is inverting and confusing the minds and senses of Shinji's enemies to the point where they can see their allies as enemies and attack each other, ruthlessly killing each other. It's as simple as that. But those two conditions are the problem. The odds of a situation where both of those conditions are met to exist is 99 to 1, simply almost impossible. This Bankai is weird because it's a really powerful Bankai and Shinji can take out entire armies with this Bankai, but those two conditions have to be met. When Shinji activates his Bankai, a petal-like thing appears beneath him. This petal thing goes on to cover him, assumably protecting him from the chaos and carnage going outside him. The first ever use of Shinji's Bankai, which we saw in Bleach, was during the final battle in the 3rd volume of the Can't Fear Your Own World light novel. Shinji and his company had entered the Kyogoku to confront Tokinada, where they were assaulted by hordes of Archuchas level hollows created by Hikone's Zampato. Shinji instructed the others to proceed ahead, and after they were out of his range, he released his Bankai. These hordes of hollows proceeded to mercilessly butcher each other, and after a while, the petal thing covering Shinji opened up to reveal to Shinji what was a wasteland of blood and death. Not a single hollow remained. Shinji's Bankai is undeniably one of the most powerful Bankais, as he stated that he could have probably defeated the Stun Ritters by himself if only they had gathered in one place. Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari may even be capable of defeating Naruto, considering Naruto has Kurama inside him and he can use shadow clones which are as strong as him. As you have seen, ladies and gentlemen, Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari is one overpowered Bankai, but it's almost 99% unusable. For my thoughts on the Bankai, I think it's a really cool and powerful Bankai, but it's very disadvantageous. And for the most part, having Sakashimayokoshima Happofusagari as a Bankai is like having no Bankai 99.9% of the time. As we saw in the battles before, Shinji is easily overpowered, and without his Bankai, he really can't keep up with his enemies. Bambieta was able to take him out very easily, though it can be argued that Shinji didn't have his mask on. But my point is, Shinji's Bankai is totally, almost unusable. And I can understand why that is, because for the 1000th time, it's a really powerful Bankai. And there has to be some sort of price to pay, like Yamamoto's Bankai, which he couldn't use for extended amounts of time, or he would end up destroying the world. So it's understandable that there has to be some limitations to it. If Shinji could be able to focus his Bankai on only 2 people, or on only a select number of people, then that would be very advantageous, because he could use his Bankai in like any situation at all. The only conditions that he would have to meet is that there has to be 2 or more enemies. And that's it for the videos today. The other part of this video will come out soon, which will be tackling Shuhei's Bankai, which is also weird to say the least. Anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Let me know what video you would want me to make and I'll consider it. Have a nice day everyone, and see you in the next one.
ほんならそろそろ奇跡の時間や。ひっくり返したるわ。挽回。坂島横島八方塞。